Let's bring in former acting U.S. Attorney General Matt Whitaker with us. Matt, we all know what's been happening at the border the past year and a half, but it's nothing compared to what DHS, our Department of Homeland Security, says could happen if we got rid of 42. They say we could have 18,000 migrants a day, which amounts to 6.5 million a year. This is totally uncontrollable. Will that be taken into account by this federal judge that's looking at getting rid of 42?
Yeah, the judge just had a hearing for the preliminary injunction on Friday and could rule any day on whether or not the Biden administration can withdraw that Title 42 power. And remember, it's about the only piece of tool that our Border Patrol agents have to enforce the laws on the southern border. With that gone, not only are you going to see this surge, but there's going to be an inability to really do much other than to hopefully catch as many of these folks and get them into the system and create an A file for this. But those kind of numbers, 18,000 a day, and which equates to just enormous numbers that the Border Patrol is not equipped, and quite frankly, it's putting a tremendous burden on the state of Texas and other states that are trying to aid in the enforcement at the border. But it's right now it appears to be a losing battle, and it's only going to get worse.
I don't think polls come into play in a judge's decision like this, but it's worth putting up the Fox News poll that shows that 63% of Americans are against getting rid of Title 42. Only 27% are in favor of ending them. I mean, should the concerns of the American people mean anything to this decision?
Well, obviously, the judge shouldn't be influenced by that, but it points to a broader issue, and that is that the American people, by and large, want border security. They want a border that is under control, like we had in the Trump administration when we had Remain in Mexico, safe third country, public charge doctrine, all the kind of things that we put in place to organize and control the border. We are the most generous country in the world, David. We admit over 1 million people a year to lawful permanent status, but this unregulated, unrestricted, just a rush at the border is going to not only destabilize the United States of America, but ultimately, make all of our communities less safe. And we're going to have a hard time keeping track of who our fellow citizens are.
There's another problem, Matt, and that is that this administration has a nasty habit of breaking the law. Look what's happening with these protests that are illegal in front of the justice's house, these abortion protests. There is a federal statute that prohibits those demonstrations from taking place, and yet from the pulpit of the press secretary, you have encouragement to go out and do more of what is illegal. That's the problem.
That is the problem, David, and the American people are tired of this two-tiered system of justice where the left gets to apply certain rules and the right gets different rules. And this is a prime example where only conservative judges are being protested against. They're revealing where they live and then showing up day after day, trying to influence the outcome of a case. And that is exactly the purpose of that law, is to keep these types of protests away from judges and their families, to try to prevent people from trying to undue influence these judges. It's a shameful act of desperation, that really ultimately has no place in our republic.
Matt, quickly, there's another issue where the administration is flouting the law. Jim Jordan says he has evidence that the AG, Merrick Garland, actually was administering sort of, if not penalties, at least observations of parents who were upset with the CRT laws in their schools. And under oath, he said that wasn't happening. Jim Jordan says he has evidence it was happening. Should he resign if that evidence is worthwhile, is believable?
Yeah, it's extraordinary if parents that were speaking out at their school boards were designated domestic terrorists in the FBI case tracking system. I mean, that is inconsistent with what Merrick Garland said. And, if you go to Congress and you lie, you should be held accountable. And it appears to be exactly what Merrick Garland did. I've been very critical of him for prioritizing airplane passengers and parents at school boards instead of real threats to our country and the challenges we face, like violent crime in our major cities.
Matt Whitaker, we got to leave it at that, my friend.